Hey, Dairy Hour listeners, if you're enjoying this show, leaving a review is the best way to help us grow and reach more people. Plus, I've got a little thank you for you. Snap a screenshot of your review, message it to me at Dairy Gal Val, and I will be sure to send some fun Dairy Hour stickers your way. Thanks for supporting the podcast, and I cannot wait to mail you some swag. As a busy mom and dairy farmer, I'm always looking for ways to support my family's health as well as my own, and I absolutely love Wonder Cow Colostrum. It's packed with essential nutrients, great for supporting gut health, boosts immunity, and promotes overall wellness. Whether it's for me, my kids, or anyone looking to stay strong and healthy, Wonder Cow is my go-to daily supplement. I've been taking it for a year now, and it is irreplaceable in my daily routine. If you want to experience the amazing benefits of colostrum too, you can use my special code, DairyGalVal, at checkout for a discount. Give Wonder Cow a try, and you will definitely feel the difference. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Dairy Hour podcast. I am your host, Val Lavigne, and I am joined today by Chase Pagel. Chase, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
Well, as I was saying earlier, today is a Tuesday that we're recording this, and this is the most Monday Tuesday ever. But we're pushing through. The rain is still coming down, unfortunately. Chase asked if I could kindly send some her way. I'm using all the vibes to send rain her way instead of my way because we're floating here in New York. So we could definitely use to turn the spout off a little bit. But Chase, besides it being dry where you are, why don't you give us a little bit about you?
My name is Chase Pagel, and I am sometimes I like to say wife of a farmer. My husband and I live on his third generation, going on fourth generation family farm in Kewanee, Wisconsin. Besides helping him out, I am a mom and an author and, all the other million little things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So
yes, 100%. And you're not just a farmer's wife. You are a farmer also. And you have 7,000 other jobs to do, just like every other one of us. And you're just as deserving of the title of farmer as everybody else, right?
Yep.
So I love it. And that definitely, that quote unquote farm wife, farm mom thing, like there's so many different hats that one wears and people write it off as, oh, I'm just blah, blah, blah. No, you are like doing the darn things. You are the support system for that farmer to keep him moving because God knows they'd fall apart without us. So,
oh, yeah.
See, we're really the structure in this. They don't realize it, but without us, they're just going to hit the bottom. We can't have that. We got to support our farmers. So anyways, Chase, so you married into your husband's farm or your husband's family farm. So whereabouts did you grow up?
So I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then moved out to Kewanee, rural dairy land, lived out in the country, but never worked on a farm, never grew up on a farm. My great grandparents had a farm, and that's where I learned about electric fences.
Now, hold on. That is a very important lesson to learn when you're a kid.
It
is. And if you don't learn the first time, you'll sure as heck learn the second time.
Yeah.
Because they're not messing around. And yeah, my kids they'll be, Mom, have you ever been shocked by an electric fence? Yes, of course I've been shocked by an electric fence. Every once in a while, it's out of my own stupidity that it happens. And it still happens. And I still regret it every time. But as a true farmer would think, at least I know the fence is working. So your great grandfather had good working electric fence, and that's a very good thing.
Yep. But yeah, I met my husband kind of at the end of the high school, beginning of college. And
so at what year, how old were you when you moved from the Green Bay area to where you are now?
I was in middle school, so going from 5th grade to 6th grade.
And then you just happened to show up at the same school as your husband?
Yeah, but actually we did not really interact until I was a senior in high school and he was going into college.
Okay, so he's a year older than you?
He's 2 years older than I am.
2 years older. Okay. Yeah. And so what did your parents do? Like what kind of environment were you raised in? Were you raised, what did they do for a living?
They did construction. My dad's a master carpenter, and I pretty much grew up remodeling our family home with him. So I am very handy, and I like to do things on my own. So, yeah, I learned a lot of really good, helpful skills over the years on how to kind of work construction. So that was really what I got to do growing up.
That's neat. And that's something that I unfortunately did not get a handle on ever. The one thing I can do, let me rephrase this, is if I get parts of something in a box. So when we were having babies and like the baby swing came and it was in a million pieces, I can read the directions to put it together. But if you handed me some wood, a hammer, and some nails and a saw, I probably can't build much besides maybe a box. So I give you a lot of credit for that because I can follow instructions. My husband cannot. So you want to talk about propping your husband up. and the brains of the operation when it comes to reading instructions and doing things, but he's got the think on his feet and can, create things without being told exactly how to do every step. I definitely envy you in the fact that you have that little the can do around the house things and, building things or fixing things as needed, because unfortunately I didn't get that memo when I was a kid. So that's
You might want to talk to my husband about that, because usually when he leaves, I'll plan a huge project and he'll come home and one room in the house will be completely different. Like sometimes we're talking hanging drywall, taking out sinks, putting in some countertops, like you name it. I try to do it, and sometimes it doesn't always come out perfect, but I gave it my all.
Now, does he have to come? I was gonna say, does someone has to come in and help you finish things out? This isn't quite sitting right. Come help me, like, put fine tune on this.
Yep.
I got myself into a pickle. What do I do? That is something I could get behind. I'm just like, oh, I took on way more than I could chew. Would you mind like helping me out here? And then usually I get the eye roll from whoever I asked. Like, you should have not bit off more than you can chew. But hey, you don't learn if you can do it if you don't just bite it off and go for it.
No.
So what interests did you have in high school besides helping, remodel your house and doing carpentry with your dad? What other interests did you have?
I love sewing and I love art. If you asked anybody in high school, I was going to be a fashion designer or some type of interior designer or something artsy fartsy. And that is not the road I took.
And that's okay. So so you met your husband in high school.
Yep.
And he knew what he was getting into. He's like, this girl can do some stuff around the farm. We'll take her on. He was shopping for a good farm wife and
did a lot of tractor sitting on dates.
Hey, sometimes those are the best dates, And they usually don't cost too much unless the tractor has an issue. Then they can get pretty expensive.
Yes.
So where did you head after high school?
I actually decided to go and get my CNA license. And I actually worked for hospice for a few years in the Door, Kewanee, Green Bay area, taking care of people that were sick or dying usually.
Yeah.
Hospice. So I did that for a few years.
And that's such a tough but rewarding job, helping provide comfort in that last period of time, especially for the family and the patient, of course. But I give you a lot of credit for being able to do that because that's not something that just anyone can do, but it's so important. And, recently knowing someone who went through hospice, just knowing the really great, the great experience that they went through and just the peace and the help with that final chapter is so important. So kudos to you for being able to do that. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. And then I actually was getting ready to transition to a job at the hospital, and an opportunity came up for me to join them and for my husband and I to relocate. So we decided to do that, and we actually relocated to Coleman, Wisconsin, which is about an hour from our hometown here. And we started our heifer facility up there. And that was my first experience actually working full-time on the dairy.
Nothing like jumping right in.
Yes. Yep.
So at what point in this did he become your husband? Let's back up. He all of a sudden went from boyfriend to husband.
Yeah, well, so there was a long stretch in there. We were blessed with our oldest daughter before we got married.
Things happen.
So we had our daughter Kylie, who is now, she just turned 23. So we had her, and then it was early on in our relationship, and we were kind of like, we're going to make sure we like each other before we jump into anything else. So we did end up getting married a few years later. And then actually right after we got married is when we relocated.
Okay, so it was pretty quick on after the actual marriage.
Yep.
So you moved there and started a heifer facility, and that heifer facility is to basically raise the heifers for his family's farm?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we started out with couple hundred head, and by the time we left, we were at 2,000 head that we were raising there. So we would get them at like 8 to 9 months of age. We would put them in, enroll them into our our reproduction timeline, and then once they were pregnant, then they would get sent back to the home dairy.
Okay. That's a lot of heifers to have just between that age. So
Yeah.
how many are they milking at the home dairy, or were they milking at the home dairy?
At that time they were milking right around 5,000 cows.
That's enough cows.
Yep.
Enough to cause some headaches. Definitely. So at what point, is that heifer facility still there? Did someone else take over?
Heifer facility's still there. We do have a new manager that heads it up in Coleman. We actually have a dairy up there too now. So we have the dairy there and the dairy down here. All together, we have 9 different facilities between calves, heifers, dairies, and then we've got a cheese plant and cheese store.
That's amazing. And so when you guys left the heifer facility, you came back to the main dairy?
We came back to the main dairy in about around 2014. At that time, actually, probably the whole year before that, my husband and I were both driving down here probably 5 to 7 days a week between family events and working. I actually took over in 2012, took over the role as the safety compliance person when in Wisconsin, we had OSHA come in and they mandated that we had to follow all the rules like general industry and manufacturing. And so I jumped in and took that role over. So I was head of safety. I was doing tours and events for the home farm as well. So kind of between trainings, and my husband was helping out at one of the other dairies. We were kind of driving back and forth, and we decided it was time to relocate back home. Yep. In 2014, we came back home, and we came back home with 4 kids instead of just one. So.
Really let it on those kids over there.
Yes, we did.
That's amazing. So you got back and you jumped right into doing more stuff just at the home farm. Did your role, doing safety, and, you said you gave tours and did stuff like that. Did that kind of stay the same as you transitioned back home?
Yeah, it did. I kind of did a little bit less in the barn because the days that I was not working down here, the days that I was working up in the Coleman heifer facility, I'd be in the barn helping the guys those days. But when we came back down here, I focused more energy in the office setting of doing those things. Once in a while, I would get out and get to do some stuff in the barn, but not as much as I had. So,
yeah. And how did that transition, I guess this is kind of jumping back a little bit, but you went from not really having a role on the farm. How did how was your transition from going from a hospice nurse to, being a dairy farmer and actually working alongside the animals and doing, those kind of things?
I mean, it was good. I learned how to drive skidster. I scraped alleys. I worked, hands-on with the animals a lot. My husband likes to say I move as fast as an elephant. So my cow handling moving skills are not as swift as some. And I'm sure he'll still to this day tell you that for the times that I help when the cows are out. I just don't move as fast as you'd like to see, or at least not as fast as the cows. But for the main part, it went really good. I think when I moved into that safety role, just because of my background with the training and kind of knowing how OSHA worked, that felt a little bit more just easier.
More of a better fit.
Yes. I enjoy being in the barn and working with the animals. The documentation and that side of things just comes more natural to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people, that's just a more natural fit, but it doesn't mean that you're not great out on the farm, but it just means that that's just not what works for you. And that's okay because, especially on a farm of that size, there's places for everybody, whether you're out in the barn or if you're in the office. Those jobs are just as important some days.
Well, in working in the safety, I really got to learn what all the different jobs on the farm were, because I have to make sure that people are doing things safe, and I have to understand what they're doing so I know how to give them, training when they're a new employee and stuff. So it really got me the opportunity to meet and talk to even more people and really get to know all the managers across everywhere. So I've enjoyed that because I really get to work in so many different areas.
That's really cool. And just to have that experience and get to know all of the aspects of the farm is a really neat opportunity. And on a farm that size, it's something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do all of the different things. So that's a really cool opportunity. And how has your role changed and shifted over the years since you've been back? So it's been what, 11-ish years now?
Yeah, so the last year, 2 years ago, 2 years, January of last year, we'll go with that. January of last year, I actually decided to step back in my role as the safety manager. I actually took the last 6 months before that to train up the gal that was kind of my assistant, and she got to step into that role, and she has her own team now. I consult with them once in a while when they have questions or if they just need some expertise. I just get to check in on them once in a while. I've kind of switched into a new role this year, doing some more team building type things. Working in the safety, I was always goal driven. Like, these are my goals. This is what I want to accomplish. And I made a yearly goal plan every year. This is what we got to get done. And then I would break it down to quarters, months, and really that's how I would run my team. And so that was noticed. And so now I get to help different departments create a yearly goal plan and then whittle it down to what that kind of looks like month to month, and kind of helping to keep them accountable and get their tasks done, their goals met by the end of the year. So I'm kind of excited. It's still new. Think it's going well so far. I've gotten some good positive feedback. But then other than that, I was able to start my journey as a author of children's farm books, which I'm very excited about. And that kind of gave me by stepping out of that safety role, it gave me a little bit more time to be able to work on that and then go out and do some speaking events and talk to people about the book and kind of get sales. And so it all takes time, kind of trying to split time and then still helping my husband with all the odds and ends. And we live right on the main home farm. So, I mean, I step out my door and I'm still taking care of stuff. So
I step at my door and there's cows there everywhere.
yes.
So, you brought up one of the points that I definitely wanted to talk to you about with the children's books. At what point were you like, I think I'm going to write a book?
I had thought about it for years. The first story actually happened back in Coleman. We were at the Heifer facility. Our daughter had a Jersey steer. We raised him up from a calf. He was just a big baby. You'd call him by his name and he'd come running like a dog. And he actually stole the donut from one of the workers one morning. And we found out that he really likes sweet treats. So we experimented with all different types of candies and foods. But his favorite thing were strawberry Pop-Tarts.
Oh, okay.
And so I've told this story. We actually even had a vending machine with strawberry Pop-Tarts. So when people came for tours, they could buy Pop-Tarts to feed them. But I had told that story to many people, and a lot of people are like, oh, you should write a book about it. You should write a book about it. And finally, I sat down and started doing research on, publishing and how to publish a book. And then I started getting all my ideas, and I got a lot of book ideas after I actually sat down and thought about it. And so I kept talking about it, and my husband's just like, you know what? Just shit or get off the pot. He's like, you either do it or don't do it.
Yes.
Do it and keep keep going at it, or don't do it and stop talking about it, because you just got to figure it out. So, and he knows how to push my buttons, and he knows that was going to propel me to just do it.
Stop teetering or I'm just going to push you off the cliff.
Yes.
Just jump.
That's when I decided to publish the first book, and now I'm going to be working on getting book 3 out here.
That's awesome. So I guess for those of us that don't know, I mean, I'm guessing the majority, if not all of the audience, has never written a book before. So when you go about writing a book, how does that process work?
Oh, you really have to figure out if you want to do self-publishing, if you want to publish with a publisher. There's different types of publishers out there. There's different types of self-publishing. So really doing the research and finding what fits best for you. What fits for somebody may not be the exact fit for what you're looking for. So, and if you're looking for a publisher, you need to get your manuscript written and get it out to people to look at it to see if they'd even take you on as a client. So there's just a lot of research and everything that goes into it. So kind of just getting your feelers out there and finding out which way is best for you, and then kind of pursuing it further from there.
Okay. And so you went the publisher route?
I did go the publisher route.
Okay. So when you get your published or your manuscript out to the publisher, what time frame had you looked at from, they received the manuscript to like, hey, here's an actual book?
So I talked to my publisher in December of 22, and I had my December of 23, and then I had my first book out in April of 24.
Okay. So 5 to 6 months-ish.
Yep.
Okay. So that's actually faster than I kind of expected it to be.
Yeah. And we had kind of fast tracked it. It usually doesn't necessarily go that fast, but I'd kind of pushed a little bit because I was really ready to get things going. So
once you finally jumped, you're like, all right, let's go.
Yes.
Let's do this. Let's get it done. I love it. And what are some of the different things you said? You were doing some traveling, speaking about it. What are some of the things that you've done to promote your book?
So last year we got asked to go to the Wisconsin State Fair. And so there I got to meet with a group of moms and dads and kids. And there was a couple of us, but we were all farm moms that had other jobs besides just farm moms or farm wives. So we got to talk farming, and then about there was somebody that had cheese there. I had my books. And so we talked about really just life and what it's like to live on a farm, and, how that's involved for us, and, how sometimes they perceive things. And so it was kind of a back and forth conversation and just an open conversation. And so we got to spend the whole afternoon with them. We did some cheese tasting, and it was just a lot of really good conversation. And then I got to go out on the grandstand area and do a book reading. And so that was really fun. I've gotten to speak at a couple of Women's Day events about the book, or other things kind of related to the book. So that's been really fun. I've gotten to do a couple podcasts. So thanks again.
Of course.
But yeah, so just doing that, and then really just hitting the pavement, doing social media. I've got a Facebook and an Instagram. I'm learning it all because I was not a Facebook or Instagram person. So my daughter's been doing a great job of teaching me how to use all this stuff.
I was just going to say, you've got kids, put them to good work.
Yep. So I asked my daughter to do it, and she's like, well, I will teach you how to do it. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll take it. So yes, I've been doing that. But yeah, just out on the road and going to different spots that sell books or sell children's things, games, toys, and really just approaching them, telling them my story, and seeing if they're interested in selling the book. Gotten to do some library events with some of the local libraries. So going in and doing some talks there, some book readings. I got to do one at a daycare not that long ago, only a couple weeks ago. So that was fun. So yeah, lots of different things.
Awesome. And is this all publisher driven? So your publisher is setting these up, or are these things that, you're reaching out to people? Is this something that people are reaching out to you? Maybe a combination of all three?
So my publisher actually doesn't do any marketing. She only takes care of the publishing side of things. So marketing and the hoof work is pretty much all my own. So some of it's word of mouth, hearing. I've gotten a couple people reaching out to me that are interested in buying the book for different farm shops that they may have on their dairies or farm inspired stores, and they've heard through the grapevine or they've seen me at an event, so they'll reach out to buy the book. But otherwise, yeah, a lot of it is just me making phone calls, learning and sending out press releases. So that's fun to our local media. We've got a really great farm program on our local news station here, and I get to work with Melaine Wells, and she's had me on for the introduction of each of my first 2 books, so I get to be on the news with that. So that's fun and exciting.
That's such a fun journey and such a neat adventure for you to go on. And I'm willing to bet that probably when you were young, this was not on the radar.
No, not at all.
Like, by the way, young Chase, you're gonna grow up and like be a published author of children's books.
Yeah, I never would have thought it. I'm actually low key, not a lot of people know this because I am kind of a little it's one of my flaws, but I am a horrible speller. Absolutely horrible. I rely a lot on my spell check and my Siri
and proofreading.
Tell me how to spell things, but yeah, if you would have told me that I was going to be an author, I would have been like, no way, like not at all. So yeah,
it's amazing. And I love, I love a good story when people just end up completely where they never in a million years thought that they'd be. And it kind of reminds me, recently my husband has gotten in, well, my husband is not, he's out doing things, not like a student type person. I was always like the good in school, like the very structured, very like, good with words, good with writing, all the things. I read a ton of books. And he got a hold of one of my books and he read it. Then I think he's on his 3rd book in like 3 months. And I'm like, who even are you? Like, I'll be like, what are you doing? He's like, reading? What? Since when? I mean, if you had asked him to read something, it would take him like an hour to get through a chapter before, or he'd be sleeping before it was even over. And so that's like his newfound thing. So I guess we just need to find really books that interest him, which are not necessarily the same books that I would read, but that's fine. Good.
Well, I mean, I could suggest some really easy reads for him.
With the author of Chase Pagel. No, they're actually like chapter books. So like he's doing the whole thing. And I'm struggling to think of the name. Oh, Travis Mills. He is a veteran. I think he lives in Maine now. He spoke at an event that I was at, and he is I think they call it a quadriplegic. Oh. He lost both arms, both legs in war, and he survived, which I think there's only 2. I'm trying to remember these things from his speech, which was a couple years ago. But there's only like 2 surviving quadriplegics from war ever, and he's one of them. And I believe he's the first one. But he is so cool, and I follow him on Instagram. So if you want someone really inspirational to follow, anyone who's listening, follow Travis Mills on Instagram because he's hilarious. And he even has jokes about how he doesn't have arms and legs, and he can deliver them, and they are so funny. And sometimes you're like, why am I laughing at this? And you're like, oh, he's okay with this because he's the one bringing it out. And actually, he is the one, like when he came out to do his keynote, he opened with a joke, and pretty much every single person in the audience was like, oh my gosh, he just said that. Oh my gosh, he just said that. And then he like laughs it off and makes you like completely comfortable with it. But he wrote a book about his story, which is absolutely amazing. He has done so much good for the world since his injuries, and he continues to do really good for the world. So look him up. He's got a really great book. I have not even read the whole book, but my husband has, and he loved it. So if my husband stayed awake for this book, it's good. So you should all go check it out. Also, side note,
I'm gonna look that one up.
Yes. So, but it's just so neat that you have overcome doing the things, and I love when husbands are supportive of their wives, and hey, stop just fretting about this, just do it. And I have one of those husbands too, who's just like, if you're hemming and hawing over it this much, then you obviously know deep down that it's something that you're supposed to do. So just do it and get it over with instead of fretting about it, because, you know, you get the reward for doing it way faster if you just jump and go for it. So if you're listening, this is your sign. That thing that's been on your mind, do it. Just go do the things. I mean, obviously within normalcy. Don't do anything too crazy or dangerous or anything like that, but go do that thing that you've been dreaming about. So, Chase, where do you see the future, you know, bringing you with the farm, with your writing? What kind of things do you see in your future?
Really hoping to just get out and do a lot more educating with the books. The main goal of actually writing the books, besides telling sweet family stories, was to educate the public on, hey, family farms all look different, and some are small, some are big, some have cows, some have chickens, some have pigs, but really getting that story out there that, you know, a farm is not a red barn with one pig, one cow, one chicken, one cat, like you normally see in children's books. They're all different shapes, sizes, and so really getting the family farm stories out there, educating the public on, hey, you know, these are all different farms and they're all family farms. You know, not many people know, you know, 7%, 98% of all farms are family farms. So
Yeah.
just kind of getting that message out there and getting people to see that, hey, you know, on my first book, the barn is a freestyle barn. I myself, I've never seen a freestyle barn on the cover of a book before. You know, just getting people to experience different things and kind of what farming looks like today opposed to what it maybe looked like 50, 60, 100 years ago.
Yes, it's not, for the most part, it's not old McDonald's farm anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that completely. And, you know, one of my friends has a saying, you know, big or small, we need them all for farms. There's a place here for everybody. There's a place here for someone who milks 30 cows. There's a place here for someone who milks, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of cows. And at the end of the day, all that's important is that those cows are getting well taken care of and that they're healthy. And, you know, in 2025, here we are. That is pretty much the norm. There's so many standards and, you know, different things that farmers have to go through to make sure that they are in fact doing a really great job taking care of their animals. So that's not even a thing anymore. So it's just like, you can live in a small house, you can live in a huge house. As long as you're taking care of your family, it doesn't matter where you live.
And that's the second book I wrote is actually Big Farms, Little Farms. And it actually takes a look at all the different types of farming and agriculture in the Kewaunee, Dorr, Manitowoc counties. So the counties right around me. I have our large family farm. I have a small family farm. I have an alpaca farm, a fruit and veggie farmer. I have a apple orchard, a cherry orchard, a bee farmer, a maple syrup farmer, and a few more, that Christmas tree farmer. And actually in this, at the end of this book, there's actual family pictures of all these families that own these farms.
Oh, that's great.
We've been trying to broaden it past, you know, cows or pigs or like just getting people to understand that there's so many different things that people farm for, and getting to know your different farmers and your local farmers. And each of the books that I produce has a QR code in the front of it, and you can scan it and learn more. So the first book takes you to a YouTube video about a family farm, and book takes you to my website where you actually get to see biographies of these families. If you have stores, there's websites and stuff that you can actually visit and go learn more about them and their families. So I really got to not only tell a sweet story about one of my kids in this story, but I got to take a whole lot of other families on this trip with me in that book. So that one was really, the first book I say was really like a welcome. This is the first story I ever thought of, and this one was a real like passion for education and getting more information out there for people to really learn.
That's awesome. And do we get a sneak peek at what the third is going to involve or not?
The third book is kind of back to a sweet family story. I kind of plan to alternate kind of more of a fun story to more of an educational. which they're all educational because there's fun things that you learn about. But the third story is actually about my oldest son, Jackson. And when we lived at the Heifer facility, every night in summer, we had to get in the wagon and we had to go say goodnight to all the heifers. So that one is Goodnight Heifer.
Love it.
So you get to explore the farm with him. And there's actually like a little layout map of the trail that we used to walk. And you get to see some old characters from other books, and you get to meet some new characters.
Love it. That's awesome. I am so excited. I'm so excited for you. And that's such a great opportunity to get to do what you're doing and share, your creativity and your passion for agriculture with the world. It's wonderful. And obviously teaching that younger generation about dairy farming is important as well. So awesome. At this point, I love to just move on to some fun rapid fire questions just to get to know you a little bit better. They're easy, I promise. It's not too hard of a quiz. And if I stump you, it is what. Morning person or night owl?
Neither. I hate mornings and I hate staying up late.
I found someone that speaks my language. I don't like to get up in the morning, but I also do not like to be up late. I like my sleep, and I'm miserable if I don't have my sleep. So that's where we roll. Because people are like, "You're a dairy farmer. You must just get up in the morning, like super early." And I was like, "No, because no one would want to deal with me if I got up at 3 or 4 every morning." So we do not get up then, because otherwise no one would be here and no one would like Val because she'd be mean to everybody. Oh, gosh. What's your favorite season?
I think my favorite season would be that like short week of fall.
Not all of fall, just that one really nice week.
That's usually what it is in Wisconsin. Here, it's either hot or freezing cold. You get like one good week.
And then you get the rain season and it just rains.
Yes.
Doesn't end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Let's see. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I'm actually afraid of cats.
Really? They are kind of, I can see that.
I got bit by a cat when I was little.
Yep.
It was just a mean cat.
So this reminds me of something that just happened to me. So I like to eat pigs. Baby pigs are cute. They're great. I do not have pigs, nor will I. I don't think I'll ever have pigs unless my one daughter thinks she's obsessed with them, but I secretly really don't like them, except unless they're on my dinner plate. When I was little, we had 2 pigs, Lucky and Charm rat bit me in my thumb, and I've never forgotten it. So fast forward to just a week or 2 ago, and I was at a farmer's market, and these people brought their baby bottle pig, and my one daughter loves pigs, so I brought her over to see the pig, and the pig kind of went to walk away this way. And mind you, it's like a baby. It weighs 6 or 7 pounds, maybe 10 pounds, not much. So the pig went to walk away and she was being a little bit shy and didn't want to reach for it. So I just kind of used my hand and scooched it over. Didn't the little jerk turn and bite me in my thumb again? I was like, pigs are evil. Can't do it. No more pigs for me. Not happening. It just solidified that pigs are not my thing. So to all you pig people out there, you keep them. Yeah. Keep raising them so I can eat them, but I'm not raising them because pigs are the devil. So now that we've you and cats, me and pigs, here we go. Gosh. Sweet or savory?
Probably a sweet. Ice cream is my downfall.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate.
Straight up chocolate.
I mean, the more chocolate I can get in there, like Oreos and fudge, the more chocolate, the better.
All the chocolate.
All the chocolate.
And cheese curds, squeaky or fried?
Squeaky.
Let's see. If you didn't have the farm and you weren't, farming and doing your author things, what would you be for a career?
Oh.
If you were just blank slate, it'd be really cool to be
I always wanted to be a doctor.
She's just adding on to the nurse thing. We'll just go from the nurse to the doctor. Might as well. Yeah. Favorite TV show to binge?
Veronica Mars.
I don't even know if I've ever heard of that. I'll have to check it out.
It's an old one. She's got a flip phone.
Yeah.
But it's great.
So, yes, I am obsessed with the show Friends.
Oh, yeah. I love Friends, too.
And the one, towards the end, and they start to get cell phones, and you're just like, wow, okay. And even my kids are like, what is that? I was like, that's a cell phone. Oh. Yep. And here we are in 2025. Kids these days will not know what it's like to not have an iPhone.
I know.
Here we are. Favorite place you've ever traveled?
Oh, favorite place I've ever traveled. I would say probably Hawaii.
Ooh, what islands did you go to?
We've gone to Honolulu, Maui, and Kona.
Okay. We did for our honeymoon, we did Honolulu, we did the Big Island, Hawaii, and we did Maui. So yes, beautiful. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yes.
I want to go back. My husband says he's not going back because it's too long of a plane ride.
It's a long plane ride, but it is like
Worth it.
Paradise, and it is. It's beautiful.
So worth it.
Weather is like, it's like that 1 week of fall all year long.
It's just that perfect week.
The perfect.
It is too, because it really, I don't think that the temperature even really changes much at all. It's crazy. It's just so beautiful there. And you can have all the different things, because I think they have like 5 different climates on the Big Island or something like that. You've got like the jungle, the beach, the desert, mountains. They've usually got some snow like up on the one. Yeah, it's cool. Definitely a neat place. And okay, if someone handed you an unlimited amount of money in vacation time, where are you going? What's your dream trip?
Scotland and Australia.
Scotland and Australia. Those are very different places.
I know. I'm going from one to the next. Like, it's gonna be a long flight.
Yes, I'll be gone for quite a long time. A long way. We got to adjust at each place too. So here we go. That's awesome. Yes. Both of those are on my bucket list as well. Hopefully Scotland will be fairly soon, but COVID got that out of the plans for that time being, and we just have not had time to reschedule it. So it's on my very near bucket list. I just got to get there. Got to get other people to come with me and be like, well, let's go.
I'll go with you.
Let's go, Chase. Come on, load up, head on over, pick me up in New York, and away we go. So I love to have my guests leave a deeper thought question for future guests, not knowing who they're leaving it for, just something that speaks to them, something that they think, would be really neat to hear someone's answer. And I want to know, what is one thing that's been crucial to your success as an author?
I would say just being me. Just going out and telling people my story and how my kids grew up on the farm. Like, I think that's part has really helped, because when I go meet with potential people that are buying the book, I have a genuine story that goes with the book. It's not just a made up story. It's something that we've lived and something that we continue to live every day. So I think just being me has gotten me pretty far, and being okay with being me.
Yes. Authenticity really is one of those things you don't realize its value until you actually get a little bit older, because I feel like when you're young, you're too busy trying to be like somebody else. And I think it's such an enlightening moment in your life when you finally realize, like, hey, instead of chasing and trying to be somebody else, maybe I should just be me. And that's okay. And you learn to just be okay with, if I'm not for you, then that's okay too. I'm for me. And, you find those like-minded people. And I think that that's so important as you, grow from being, a kid or a young adult into an actual adult. And I think having kids does that to you also, because not to mention it's exhausting just raising kids. So trying to be somebody that you're not and trying to keep track of children and like keep them on the right straight and narrow, I think that it would just be too much. So I love that. Definitely being authentic is so important. And Chase, what is the quote you have for us today?
So I know we talked earlier. I have a few of them. I think the one that I'm going to go with, it's a little bit of a lengthy one, but bear with me. So it says, an arrow can only be shot by pulling it backwards. When life is dragging you back with difficulties, it means it's going to launch you into something great. So just focus and keep aiming.
I like it. And it definitely fits with our conversation.
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
We've just dealt with a lot of just different situations in mine and my husband's lives throughout the years. And every time that, you're kind of in a situation and you're just feel like, life is just out to get you, just kind of remember that there's something great coming around the corner, and you just have to hold on and just keep looking forward to what's coming.
I love it. That's so inspiring and so true, that you just kind of have to keep trying and keep your eye on the goal until you actually get there, and eventually you will. So awesome. Chase, tell us, where can we buy your books?
So they are on Amazon is the best place to find them, or just reaching out to me and I can hook you up and ship them out to you.
Awesome. And I will
sorry.
No, you're good. I was going to say I'll link that right in the show notes so that people can do like a quick click and a quick click and away they go. They show right up at your house. So
Perfect. Well, thank you.
the beauty of Amazon, of course, they want to follow along with your journey slash, seeing when you have new books coming out, etc. Where can they find you?
Facebook or Instagram. They are both under my series title of Dairy Diaries. So Dairy Diaries is also the website, dairy/diaries.com, or Facebook is Dairy Diaries LLC.com, or LLC for Facebook. But yeah, a lot of my information goes on Facebook, and then I try to update my website quite often as well. So you'll actually see the third book on there with the cover and coming soon. So
Awesome. Very exciting. It's like so close.
it is so close.
Great. Chase, and I'll link all that in the show notes for you guys so that you can have an easy click to see all about what Chase is up to and her new books, of course. Chase, thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a blast talking to you and getting to hear your story. And it's always so much fun when people end up doing something really cool that they definitely never saw coming. So I want to thank you. And again, for those of you that are listening, podcasts like this, please share with a friend. That's how we grow. Be sure to leave us a rating and follow us for new episodes. Thank you so much, everyone. We will talk to you next week.